Guests on Keel appear via the Jack Spring Electric Keel Newsmaker hotline. The newest, the latest of those is the executive director for the newly named Radiant Technologies Independence Bowl. Missy Setters is here. Hey, Missy, welcome back to Keel. How you doing today?
Good morning. How are y'all?
Congratulations. Tell us about the deal. Tell us about these people. Tell us everything so we don't have to ask any questions.
Well, Frank Auer, our chairman for the 2020 game this year, I'm assuming you saw the clips yesterday, the press conference, and Frank has been good friends with Bill Bailey. Mr. Bailey is the CEO of Radiant Technologies. They are based in Huntsville, Alabama, but they have some offices in Louisiana in 4 different locations, I believe. And I do believe that they have someone here in Shreveport, Baton Rouge, Ruston, and I'd be lying if I said I understood everything they do, but I certainly want to learn this over time. But they are a solutions provider for prototyping and integration, systems engineering, cybersecurity, and scientific and technical intelligence. So they do some amazingly cool things that are way above my brain power.
Me too.
So how was this deal put together? You went to them, they came to you. There was a middle person here. Talk about that a little bit.
Frank Auer had a conversation with Mr. Bailey, and they started talking about it. Mr. Bailey was intrigued. As he mentioned, they were looking for to enhance brand awareness, and bowl games certainly do that for you, anything in the realm of college football and college sports. So they had a conversation. We went over to Huntsville and met with them weeks ago now. And Chris Foy from Impression Sports and Entertainment, we had partnered with him back in October, November of this past year when we knew that Walk-Ons wasn't going to continue on. And so Chris was helping us. He and his team were helping us look for our new title. And so we all partnered up together, went over for the meeting, had a great meeting, and brought the deal to fruition, and then kind of waited it out because of everything that's going on right now, and felt that yesterday was the right time to make the announcement. So
how much is it worth? What's the check? How sizable?
Well, Aaron, as you know, we can't divulge that. Those things are covered in confidentiality in the agreements. But I will say that it's going to give the bowl, and I know the term is overused sometimes, but stability.
Lots of zeros. Lots of zeros.
Yes, there are zeros involved, and it's a great partnership for us. And we look in the mornings. We have a report that comes to us for every mention that the bowl gets on TV or radio throughout the country. We're waiting on that report this morning, and those are the kinds of things you look forward to see what kind of mentions you're getting for your new title sponsor. And we got a lot of play out of it yesterday, so that's what we're trying to accomplish.
Radiant Technologies, Radiant Technologies, Radiant Technologies. There's 3 more.
Yeah, so they were kind of shopping for a college sports association. Were they doing anything sports related prior to this, or is this sort of virgin territory, so to speak?
No, they have. They've been very, very involved in their area over there and other areas throughout the country. I believe they also have a large office in Dayton. And they've been involved in a number of different things. I believe the is it Corn Ferry Tour, golf tour. They've been a sponsor of an event there. So it's not completely new territory for them, but the bowl game world and college football world.
Pardon me, for Erin had a puzzled look on her face. The Corn Ferry Tour is the golf tour that is a notch below the PGA.
Okay.
So
it's the old Ben Hogan Nike tour that we had here.
Okay, gotcha.
In other words, those guys can play.
5-year deal seems pretty substantial. You're pretty optimistic that they're going to stick with you for 5 years. Is it pretty solid?
Yes, it's a 5-year agreement, and the best part of that is that we get to plan for those 5 years. So everything that we're planning on now, based on when we get our game date and how the college football season works this year, we can plan for this year, and then we can improve for next year and improve for the following year and the next year and the next year. And that's the what we look forward to is the longevity of it and how we can improve every year and how we can bring them more brand awareness and a better experience for the fans and for the players.
Missy, let's talk teams for just a couple of seconds. If you would take a couple of moments and walk us through the latest deal with Army, I guess, and BYU, I guess, and different conferences. Where are we right now and going forward? What are the rules and who are we going to get and when?
Well, this year we'll have Army and Pac-12, and it just as in other years, it's provided we have qualifiers. So we should have Army and Pac-12 this year. And then in 21, we'll have BYU versus the Conference USA team. In 2022, we'll have an American team versus Army, and then Pac-12 BYU, then Army Pac-12, and then BYU Conference USA. So we were looking around for something that has national significance. Teams, the independents work into that for us tremendously, and then conferences that have regional teams that can bring in fans. So we've got a good mixture of that, and we're looking forward to that. It's going to be different, but I think it's going to be different in a really, really positive way.
Still have a deal with ESPN, or is that changing too?
We're working through that right now too, and hope to have something in the next month or so.
Go ahead.
One thing I wanted to add too was that Walk-Ons was a part of this process for us in partnering with Radiance. They told us early on that anything that they could do to help us in the title search, they'd be more than happy to do. And so there was a conversation that took place between Mr. Bailey and Scott Taylor at Walk-Ons. And after that conversation, I think it helped solidify this agreement, this partnership moving forward. And so we can't say enough about Walk-Ons and how much we appreciate them too.
Could a deal with Fox be beneficial to you if Fox Sports was a possibility? Would that be better, worse? Compare the two in the sports world. You're the sports guru here.
I think at this point you have to look at the landscape of college football as far as the bowl games and the partnerships that ESPN has. And, you know, we've been partnered with them for over 20 years, I think 23 years. 28 years at this point. And I think you have to look at the longevity of that partnership. The bowl world, there's a lot of bowls now, and you're trying to put a lot of bowls into a smaller space. And we get that, and game days is important to us, but I think partnerships are also important. So moving forward, you work through it with your primary long-term partner and see where that goes, and so that's what we're doing right now.
Okay, the mayor of New Orleans has said no big events like this through the end of the year. Do you think that's even a possibility? Are you concerned at all with regard to the coronavirus?
Yeah.
Look, there's a lot of smart people working on this, and I think, you know, we commented yesterday that you look at it from the standpoint of you've got college presidents, college athletic directors, college commissioners, the NCAA all working together to try to figure out a solution. And I think at most schools in the Power 5 and the G5, football accounts for about 80% of the revenue coming into the athletic department. That revenue is funding most of the other sports with the exception of basketball and in some schools women's basketball and I believe baseball at some schools and some other what they consider Olympic sports or however they phrase it now. But they're footing the bill for a lot of those other sports that we enjoy throughout the year. So those people who are making that decision, you know, they've got a lot of weight on their shoulders right now, but I think the intention is to have a full season if at all possible. And you may see a calendar that's a little bit different. There's a ton of speculation out there, and I think at this point you can look at the speculation, but I don't know how much I would put into it until it's actually the people making the decision that are talking.